I'm going to record on this computer. So welcome everyone to a very important Academy Sports Center meeting we're going to have today. My name is Kelly Caldwell. If you haven't met me, I'm the head of the ASC ITC at Stanley Community College. I have with me today Constance Bowen on my left here. She's one of our newest members, our ITC instructor. Brian Crump's on the right of my picture here. He's also one of our ITC instructors. Michael is in class, so he'll probably be here in a minute. He's probably running over a little bit. He's teaching class, but we'll have him here in a few minutes also. Today, we're going to go over something that's probably one of the most important things we've talked about from an ASC perspective in a very, very long time, and that is the upcoming convergence in August. All right, so let's talk about convergence. We know it's going to take place August 22nd through the 25th. Okay, it is actually 24th, I believe. It's 24th, not 25th. It begins at 11 p.m. Eastern on the East Coast. So just be aware, your time frame may vary, but it is 11 p.m. Eastern on our side of the country. As you move west, it gets earlier. So it's going to be 8 o'clock on the West Coast. That is different than what was originally told to everyone. Originally, it was going to be later on the West Coast. It was going to be like 11. They actually do have through the 25th, so it's going to go through the 25th. Originally, it was going to be at 11 p.m. on the West Coast. They backed that up. So be aware, it's 8 p.m. on the West Coast, 11 p.m. on the East Coast. Skills for All and netacad.com will be absolutely, completely unavailable for up to full 72 hours. Now, that's what they're telling us is 72 hours or 3 days. Yeah, everybody knows how things work. It's supposed to be 72 hours. I don't want to put the betting line down that it will be more, but let's just say it's a big change. So we're planning for a minimum of 72 hours. I would give myself a little wiggle room each side of that. Don't plan a final, on the 25th or 26th in the morning. Just throw that out there. But those two systems will be completely, totally down 22nd through 25th, from 11 p.m. 22nd till it's supposed to be the 72 hours later on the 25th. Okay, so the end time for our side of the country, and I'll go ahead and pull this over here. So here's the times and everything. So New York, we will go down at 11 p.m. and we should come back up Sunday at 11 p.m. All right. So we should be okay Monday the 26th. I personally would not schedule anything super important on Monday the 26th. I would give some flexibility there because yes, it's supposed to only be 72 hours, but we all know how things work in the IT world. Okay. So if you happen to be in San Francisco, you'll notice it's 8 p.m. to 8 p.m. Thursday to Sunday, and so on and so forth to other parts of the world if you happen to be from those. Okay. So be aware that it is going to be fully down. When it comes back up, it will be called netacad.com. So skillsforall.com will continue to redirect to netacad.com. Eventually, skillsforall.com, that URL will go away, but it will be a single system called netacad.com. It is super important that you download all your individual Academy certificates of completion, recognition, your 5 years, 10 years, 20 years of teaching, any completion of a class that you have, all of your certificates. Download them now and get them onto a secure drive of some sort. I also strongly suggest you download all of the grade books of any class that you want the grade book from. All right, that's my personal suggestion to you. If you are a main contact, don't forget to download all of your Academy certificates. Like, for instance, if you happen to be we're an ASC Premier Partner, that's something we would need to download. Okay, so just be aware that you need to download all of those certificates, because once the convergence occurs, they are not available and they will not be recoverable. Okay, so what I have done is I've gone in under my you go in under your name and go into your certificates and letters. So to give you an idea here, I'm logged in. I can go to certificates and letters, and then I can go and download all of my things. So I've been doing this for over 25 years. Okay. So make sure you get all of these downloaded, all your IPD certificates, all your instructor training certificates, all of this, because if you don't get them now, you will never get them again. Okay, so these are going away. Will they be replaced with something different on the new system? Probably, but none of the things that were there previously will move forward. So make sure you download them, okay? If you are a main contact, you should clean up your database and remove any staff and instructors no longer associated with your school. To do that is very simple. You log in, you go to I'm managing, go to your users, okay, and get rid of unused users, okay, just remove them. And the way you do that is you unclick all of their roles and then click submit, and that removes them from your database. So clean up your database. If you've got any instructors or staff or anybody that's in there, they're no longer with your college. We all have a bunch of them. I mean, we've been an academy for, yeah, you don't delete their account. You don't delete it. You just go in and uncheck their roles, and that will remove them from your academy. Okay. But make sure you do it. It's just going to make it easier for them when they start to move the database over. They don't have to move anything that's useless. All right. If you have any class customizations, documents you store inside of your classes, quizzes you've created, anything that you've created that you use inside of NetAcad, get them saved out of netacad.com before this convergence. Because more than likely, they're not going to make it over to the new system. Okay, so get all of those downloaded. Any questions about those 4 items before we move on to very important about how and when to create classes for the system? You can drop it in chat if you want to. Okay. All right, so we're going to look now at where and how to create your classes based on when they start and where they exist before convergence. So for all classes currently only on netacad.com, for instance, we know CCNA, CCNP, which, by the way, they announced today the CCNP will no longer be supported after December of 2025. Okay. If you don't know, didn't hear about that, it's under, everyone should be paying attention to their right here, news and events for instructors. It was announced today. And it's slow to get there, but it will get there. CCNP end of life was announced today. So the last day to create a CCNP class will be July 31st of 2025. All classes must end by December 31st of 2025. Okay. John, outstanding vouchers. I would go ahead and get those voucher requests in as fast as you can and try to get those vouchers to the students before the convergence. Go ahead, Constance.
So because they brought this up like they were very specific to talk about vouchers. That's the reason that the classes are ending in February, is so they can still give vouchers to the students in those classes that end in February. So you should be fine as far as vouchers go. But if they do already have the option to request, have them go ahead and do it.
Yeah. Are you talking about a class that ended ended in the summer? Yeah, I would go ahead. They should be okay even after the convergence, but I would go ahead and have them request a voucher before August 22nd. Because you've got almost 4 weeks now before August 22nd to make those. Yeah, they still have that in our legacy system. Yep. Okay. So any of these courses that are only in NetAcad, CCNA, CCNP, DevNet, CyberOps Associate, you've got a couple. If your class starts before convergence, so like us, our student classes begin August 16th. We at Stanley, we're going to create these classes in netacad.com before August 22nd. We're going to set the classes up as normal. After convergence, those classes will be moved over. They'll be moved into what's called the legacy feature set. Okay, so they'll be there. But any class that's in the legacy feature set must end. In fact, it will be automatically ended for you on February 23rd of 2025. No exceptions, no extensions. Okay. So for instance, we're teaching CCNA 1 the first 8 weeks of fall. We will go ahead and create our CCNA 1 class and have it created, ready before convergence. We teach CCNA 2 the second 8 weeks. We're going to go ahead and create that class before convergence, and that'll give us an entire semester to get ready to use the new system. Okay, because those both classes end in December, we don't have to worry about them going into February. Not a problem. If you've got a class though that will meet past February, you're going to have to do something differently. Okay, you would either have to wait to after the 25th to create your class, or you may have to create a class and then move those students to another class later. But I would just say probably if you know the class is going to go past February, I'd wait after the 25th to create it on the new system. Okay. For most of us though, this will be what we do. This will be what we do for our classes in the fall. Okay, so we can set up a class for fall. Yep, after convergence class will be in the legacy category. Let me see what's it. It will end with or without you on February 25th or 23rd, February 23rd of 2025. But you can complete it like you normally do. It'll still have the legacy capabilities we had before. No, Kendra, no difference for Kendra. Yeah, no difference for access. It'll just be you'll log into netacad.com. The interface will be different from all the other classes inside of netacad.com. It'll have a more of the legacy look, not the new look. Okay, so it'll still be on netacad.com. Notice again, if you want to stay in the legacy feature set for the entire semester, so you got second 8-week classes, you got to create the class before August 22nd. Questions about this? For most of us, this will be what we do. Now go ahead, what you got, Michael? What's the question? Okay, getting ready to go there. I'll talk about skills for all classes in a minute. This is just for classes in NetAcad. Will we be able to modify classes that we'll create for August 22nd? My understanding is yes. Define, modify. Yeah, we don't know because we don't know what the legacy feature set is. I would tell you, I would get everything in that needs to be in the class when I create it before August 22nd. That's what I would do. I would have, for instance, you're probably asking, you got a second 8-week class you normally do a lot of modifications to. I would go ahead and make those modifications before August 22nd. And make sure that when that class is pulled over into the new legacy system, everything you need for the second 8 weeks is in there. Not the student accounts necessarily, but all the things you want to put into it. Okay, does that make sense? Trey, that's my understanding, yes. Yep, create it, and it should look very similar to the system we have now. That is correct, Trey. You just need to make sure you create that class before August 22nd. Okay. Now, if the class is on skillsforall.com, okay, so it's Networking Essentials 3.0, it's Cybersecurity Essentials 3.0, it's anything you're currently teaching that's only on skillsforall.com. The Python classes, Python 1, Python 2. You can create those classes before or after convergence. Doesn't matter. They should use the new feature sets. It should move over after convergence and use the new feature sets. The Skills for All URL will redirect to netacad.com if someone puts it in. Eventually, skillsforall.com URL will go away. It'll probably be years from now, but eventually that URL and that domain name will go away. We have been told it's highly recommended that if you have any links in your classes that are going to be on Skills for All, update them once the convergence takes place to point to netacad.com instead of skillsforall.com. That is, yep, Jason, that is my understanding, correct. Skills for All, not much of an impact at all. In fact, what should happen is you get a lot more features once the convergence takes place. Come on, no. If you create it on Skills for All right now, my understanding is once it moves to the new netacad.com, it gets to the new feature set. So it will not be on Legacy, it would be on the new feature sets. Kim, that's correct with the new URL. So Kamal, my understanding is if you create it in skillsforall.com, once the migration convergence takes place, all new features that are added will be added to the classes that were created on skillsforall.com. That's what we have been led to understand. Yes, that was actually on my next slide. Do we know about any of these new features? Well, we'll talk about those in just a second. Okay. One other thing I want to talk about, and it's already been brought up here by Jason. If you want students to do any packet tracer work during the August 22nd through the 25th downtime, you must have them select Keep Me Logged In for 3 months on Packet Tracer. Because if they have not selected that on Packet Tracer, they will not be able to log in. All login capabilities for skillsforall.com and netacad.com will not be available during the convergence time. Exactly. They have to have done this and logged in before the 22nd so it can save that information in their local instance of Packet Tracer. All right. So let's do a quick look-see at the Convergence Hub. So if you have not looked at it, you should go and log into netacad.com and go to the Convergence Hub. Okay. The Convergence Hub has all the information that you need, and it tells you what you need to do. All right. Yep, it's Resources, Convergence Hub. First item under Resources. So here's a checklist of actions. If you are an instructor, you need to review the course list. Because, folks, there are some courses that are not moving forward. Once the convergence takes place, these are the courses that will be available. We also do know, they mentioned that, again, CCNP is moving forward, but it will go away next year. So these are all of the courses that are moving forward. If you're using any courses that are not here, they will not be available after convergence. Okay. You'll notice, though, almost everything we use is in here. I don't see anything that's really jumps out as me as something we don't use anymore or haven't. We use now and don't have access to. Okay. Questions about these courses? You'll notice we've got CCNA 1, 2, and 3, CCNP, DevNet, CyberOps Associate, Cybersecurity Essentials 3.0, Network Security, all of these. All right. Yep, IoT security, I believe, is gone, but they're working on something in the background. I'm pretty sure that's going to have some IoT security in it. And in fact, it's that beta class, I think. That beta networking, IT networking, IoT networking essentials I just showed you. Okay, which isn't even mentioned here, but is in a beta. Okay, very important. Number 2, update your class end dates. Make sure you have no netacad.com class that ends later than February 23rd. Okay, so if you have, for some reason, a class out there that you've created now that has an end date after February 23rd, it will change it. Okay. You're talking about the new IT support, Kim. It's coming eventually, but it's going to be next year. I don't think it'll be this year at all. Okay. Any of your course customizations, you need to make sure you do that. Anything that you have that you want to save, and then create your classes. Again, this is, do you want to be an early adopter or a late adopter? I'm suggesting for most of us, especially with CCNA, DevNet, CyberOps Associate, my suggestion is let's be early adopters. 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 Let's be early adop late adopters. Okay, just for simplicity's sake. If you're using Skills for All, you're going to be an early adopter. You don't get a choice. So if you're using any classes on Skills for All, you're going to get the new system whether you want it or not. Okay, so Academy managers, download all your certificates. Instructors, you need to download yours too. Don't forget that. Update your locator if you need to, and remove any staff who are no longer with your academy. And then everybody needs to download your personal and course completion certificates. And again, any content that references Skills for All, you really need to change that to say Cisco Networking Academy after the changeover. Okay. Now, if you look on down in here, you will see that we have video resources on how to create a class, create a post, create an assignment. Course customizations are supposed to be coming as part of the convergence, as are the ability to share course customizations. The accommodation and retakes are supposed to be on the after convergence, as is other submission options. Okay, so you can watch these videos here. We don't have a great deal of information about those items. We've seen some of it during our PD, but not a great deal. Just be aware when it's ready, they will put it here. So you need to make sure you are looking at this Convergence Hub early and often. And that is a good point. IT Essentials covers anything you need for that new CCST IT support. Actually, just covers a whole lot more. So, questions about any of these items? I do have one item I want to talk about. The roles are going to change after convergence. So I got to remember where that's at. I think it's actually up here. Just give it a second. Anytime you go in here, it takes a while. Yep, here it is. Underneath your news and events, they made a mention of right now there are 7 different roles on netacad.com and Skills for All. They're going to be simplified down to 4 roles. If you have contact role, you'll have contact after convergence. Okay, because there can only be one contact for a school. They're working on making it where you can have 2, but there's one. You can only have 1 now. If you have the advisor role, you will become a staff. If you have a ASC Academy Specialist role, which that's Michael, you'll have the staff role. If you have the staff role today, you'll have the staff role after convergence. Okay. As far as teacher goes, the only role that exists will be instructor. There will not be a facilitator role anymore. There'll be instructor, and that is it. And then the learning role will be student. Joel, we have no idea about seat tokens. More than likely, though, it's not going to be seat tokens. It's going to be the new invite link that is part of Skills for All. So when you're teaching a class inside of Skills for All, okay, so I'll bring my class back over here. So if you're in this class and you want to enroll someone in a class, oops, I clicked on the wrong thing. Once you've created the class, you go over here to invite learners, and it will give you a link. You just copy this link, give it to the students, and the students can then enroll in the class. So we won't have seat tokens. We have these invite links. Or you can bring them in with a CSV file if that's what you want to do. But seat tokens have been replaced by this invite link.
Hey, Kelly.
Yep.
I had a quick question. The classes that are being discontinued, or the classes that are not transferring over to Skills for All, is there a table showing what new classes would be appropriate or related or cross-reference to the discontinued classes?
Let me find that. There is actually an Excel spreadsheet. See if I can find that Excel spreadsheet. That's the course offerings. I gotta find my Excel spreadsheet. let me go look on another sheet. There is an Excel spreadsheet that we have put out that has all the courses listed. But some of them are literally not being replaced with anything.
Okay. I was just curious.
Here it is. I've got it right here. This is the English end of course. So this tells you the versions that are going away, and it does tell you what to migrate to. So for instance, if you were teaching CCNA version 6, you need to go to 7, okay? CyberOps Associate or Cybersecurity Essentials, okay, the English version you see is going away, migrate to version 3 in English. Okay, so this does exist and it is in that Convergence hub. And you'll notice.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, this tells you, and I tell you what I will do. I will actually, when I send out the recording of this, I will attach this document to that. Okay. So this will be, I'll send this out with the link to the recording so that you've got this. So it tells you, like,
okay, thank you.
If you're teaching English 2.1 version of Python, you need to go to the Python 1 and 2 that's on Skills for All. So this does have it for you. Okay, Mike, the question being asked is, do we know when the CCNA, CCNP courses will be available? My understanding is that you will be able to create a new CCNA course on the 26th in Skills for All or in netacad.com using the new system. CCNP, my understanding was it's going to be a couple weeks after Convergence before you could create a new CCNP course. So if you're teaching a CCNP class, definitely create it before the 22nd. So, but the CCNA, you're going to be able to do it right after Convergence. But you'll be in the
Kelly,
new
I have
platform.
a question.
Okay.
So my first week of classes is literally that week.
Okay.
Like, so would you suggest that I make my classes before the Convergence or after the Convergence? Because the first week of classes is the 20th for us.
Yep. I would make, if it was me, I'm going to make it before then so I can use the legacy system because I know how to use the legacy system. And that way you don't have to try to learn the legacy system and teach the class during the fall. You can play around in the new system, or you can play around in the new system and use the legacy system for your existing class. I would create it before the 22nd and put all my customizations in it, everything I want, so that it gets pulled into, after Convergence, into the legacy part of the new system. And you can use that and teach it through December. And then after that, you can do, then we don't have a choice. Then we're all going to have to start making our classes on the new Converge system.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep. No
Kelly,
problem.
I have a question.
What you got?
Yes. So when I was, recertifying my CCNA certification, I took the CCNP class from you and then submitted, and I got the continuing education credits for that.
Yep.
And so since the CCNP is going away, I wonder what will be the, course that will give me the enough credits to recertify my CCNA.
You can still use, it's still possible to use the other courses. Let me pull that up for you real quick. I've got
Thank you.
and what he's talking about, folks, is there's a thing called CE credit for renewal of your certifications.
Yes.
And this is the process, and this is what was available. So you could, in order to renew your CCNA, you needed to get at least 30 CE credits. If you have a specialist or a professional, you needed 40 or 80. DevNet will give you 40. CyberOps Associate will give you 30. So if you took those courses with us, that would give you your CE credits. Unfortunately, there will be no replacement for Enterprise Core or Enterprise Advanced Routing. So, but there's two options. If you took DevNet, you could recert, or of course you too can just retake the exam.
I wonder what will be coming up to replace the knowledge that we gain from the CCNP level.
I don't think they're going to. I think they're going with I call it the Walmart method. We're going to sell a lot of low end, and I don't mean low end that CCNA is low end, but it is, they're going to try to do more entry level, lower level certifications and focus on that in the academy instead of what I call the Marine method, which is the few, the proud. You know, the CCNP was not something very many people took. And so they're going away from that and doing a more, let's give lower level, more entry level classes. I don't think there will be a replacement for it, to be honest.
Thank you.
All right.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Like, if like I was asking before, like if we have like a first short session and second short session, so you're recommending that we create the courses for the second short session, which starts like in October, and then make it start in this time, or start date does not matter? Does it have to be like started for it to transfer to the legacy, or just created?
My understanding, if it's created, it should transfer. I'm going to suggest you actually have the start date before the 22nd.
Okay, so make the start date before the 22nd and just leave it there until the students not to do anything in that.
Well, as long as you don't enroll a student in it, it's just going to sit
don't enroll students.
right,
Yes.
with no student
Okay.
in it. That's
Gotcha.
what I'm going to recommend, because yes, supposedly they're going to move over, but what if they forget to check the box to move anything that's not currently active over? You know,
Yeah.
I would have the class start date before the 22nd to ensure it will be moved over.
Don't enroll any students.
Without, you don't have to enroll any students in it. Just make sure the class is created. Exactly.
And started before the 22nd.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. And again, that's my suggestion. I haven't heard otherwise, but I think that's a good way to do it.
It's the same thing for the spring classes too.
Well, the thing
No.
is, spring classes you cannot use, because remember, all classes in the legacy portion must end by February 23rd. So you will not, after February 23rd, there will be no exceptions. Any class you put in the legacy portion will end.
Yeah.
Kim, we'll work with you on the CE thing. That's the problem is, it's got to be done within 90 days of the end of the class. So if it's been more than 90 days, you won't get credit for it. Okay. We can talk about that later, but yeah, in the spring, you're going to have to use the new system. There's no exception. Okay. Anybody else have questions? Please make sure you spend some time on this Convergence Hub. Okay. So log into NetAcad, go to Resources, Convergence Hub. Also, make sure you go in and read the news and events for instructors if you don't already. I also highly recommend that under your profile, accept the ability to be emailed by the system. Do that in both NetAcad and Skills for All, so that you can get emails from the system.
One more question on the student discounts for the vouchers.
Yep.
What should they do on the student side? I mean, are they still going to be able to get their vouchers and stuff like that? Or what do we say about that?
Everything that we have been told is the voucher process will be very similar to the way it is today. We mark them complete in the grade book, and then they will go under their account and request a voucher. We simply haven't seen that inside of Skills for All yet. So our understanding is it should be very similar. Okay. Now, what Constance is saying about creating your spring classes in August, she means if you want to create your spring classes in the new system, you can do that, under the converged portion of the new system. You can do that, and then you can learn with it. Yeah, after the 25th. Or you can also, during the fall, you can create yourself a couple practice classes and just play around in the new system and get comfortable with it, looking at the grade book, looking at the way to create assignments, the way to do customizations, and all of that. And then you'll be ready to make your classes after January 1. Okay. Other questions about the convergence? I will send you this English platform EOL Excel that gives you that listing of what you need to move to in the new system. please note that there are some maintenances coming up before the 22nd and 25th. So on the 26th of July, there's a maintenance time for NetAcad and Skills for All, a 3-hour downtime. So just be aware of that. This is for both systems individually. So just plan ahead. That's Friday from 5:30 to 8:30 PDC, which for us should be what, 8:30 to 11:30. So. Deborah. I don't know.
No,
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll have to rebuild. You'll have to rebuild those
Yeah,
because
you'll
that'll
definitely,
change.
yeah, I'd about guarantee you have to rebuild it because it's going to be, those links are going to change.
At least once it goes to the new system. The legacy might still link over.
It might, yeah, it might on the, you're
But-
right, on the legacy system, it might still work, but
But once you go to spring, yeah, I can guarantee those won't
I
work.
guarantee you'll have to change it over. Yep. Are the course contents going to change? It will eventually, but 7.02 is like 2 changes in the CCNA. But it will eventually change and they'll roll that in, but it's a very, very minor change. And what he's talking about is the new CCNA exam. Yeah, Deborah, it should work in the fall. Yeah, it should work in the fall. As long as
Maybe.
you create it before August 22nd.
Maybe. If the link, if something in the URL doesn't change, because
Correct.
that's a URL link. So if the URL changes to refer over to legacy, it might change. So
Yeah, and in other words, your mileage may vary.
that Bob, that is on the roadmap.
Nah, I don't. Last time I heard it was not on the roadmap.
Oh, well, I thought it
And
that was
and the
something that
reason-
they mentioned was in the works. It's still not going to be there. It's not going to be there when Convergence is done. But they're
there's
still
some
planning
new
that
data
in the future.
privacy laws that I think are going to throw a major monkey in that.
Oh, okay.
So I would not expect that anytime soon. It's been in the works for, let's see, I've been in the academy for 20, 25, 26 years. Been in the work for about 20 years, and we still don't have it. So I would not definitely don't hold your breath. All right. I wish, we wish. There are ways to integrate NetLab Plus, and if you happen to don't know how to do that, we can do a session on that down the road if you happen to have NetLabs. Okay.
And you can link the curriculum. It's just messy.
Yeah, you have to
You
individually.
have to go out to the curriculum separately and log in because there's no authentication piece. So it can be done, but it's just not as pretty because it doesn't do an auto login.
Right, exactly. All right, so please make sure you do these things, because if you do not, on the 26th, I can't help you get your certificates. We warned you. We try to do everything we can to help everybody, but it just won't be available. So make sure you go get those things. Make sure you do these items and pay attention. If you have any questions, please email us. We'll do our best to respond. Please note we're on faculty break this week. I notice we're all here, so I don't know how we're on faculty break, but we're on faculty break. I've not yet had a break this week. I did take most of Monday off. But next week I am going on faculty break, and I'm going to try my darndest to not answer emails. So unless the data center is literally on fire, on fire, I'm hoping not to be emailed next week. But you know how that is. So we know it won't happen, but send us any emails you have or any questions you have, and we'll try our best. And if anything changes at all, if we hear anything different, I will send it out via MailChimp. So please make sure you're checking your spam folder for MailChimp. That's my primary way of getting in touch with you. So that's what we try to do. Any other questions? Yeah, break. You're exactly right. I'm telling them it won't be long for I break for a long time. With 28 years in, I'm getting toward putting the brakes on. So, and they're all going, no. And I'm like, it's going to happen eventually. So, but as you know, famous author once said, the rumors of my demise are greatly exaggerated. I think the earliest it would be January 1st of 2026. That's what I'm looking at as the earliest. So, you know, I got to put up with me for at least a year and a half. But all right, everybody, thank you so much. I'm going to stop sharing. Any last questions before we call it?
No, I think you keep saying that crap just to give me a heart attack.
Hey, we do what we can. I try to keep your heart pumping good and hard.
Oh, you do.
All right, everybody, I'm going to stop the recording.